Hey guys, it's Jimmy Bremner and Dexter coming at you from CTOA on the Urban Trail. A lot to catch up on. Um, been busy. As I said last week, I was out with a filmmaker named Rob Courtley, and Rob, he does something called grief stories. And as I said, um, you know, we own our own story, okay? So I got an opportunity to, give my suggestions on, how to move forward based on my experience. Um, with that said, what came out of that again is it's not just about cops and soldiers, it's about nurses and doctors and firefighters and everybody, because we all experience grief in our lives at some point in time. And we all figure out our own path and how to move forward through it. So what came out of that is Rob has been kind enough to allow grief stories to be linked to the Canadian Tactical Officers Association's homepage. So you'll be able to link onto that and watch all of those great videos. And we're all searching for answers and things like that. And there's a lot of great material on there. And all you have to do is click on the link. It doesn't cost you anything. And so that was probably, the best gift I could have got out of that association with Rob. And we plan to do more things in the future. Okay, so I'm on the Urban Trail. And so it's thank goodness, it's summertime and it's warm today, about 29 to 32 degrees. So I'm going to talk about hydration, okay, or drinking water. All right. When I was a kid, the best day of the year was when the city opened up the water fountains at the parks. And you got on your bike and you got to ride around to all the different water fountains, take a drink. So it's important that we stay hydrated. All animals are attracted to water. If you need to find an animal, go to water. That's where they gravitate to, because it's the source of life, right? What is it, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So those are things you need to remember. So I talked about this earlier with my bug bites. I'm very fair-skinned, okay? So you don't see me wearing shorts and things like that. I mean, I'm that fair-skinned, okay? So I dressed really lightly in track pants that can be made into shorts. If I, want to wade into the water or something like that, I can do that. They just unzip, and they're makeshift shorts. They're super lightweight, okay, and they're actually an offshore brand, very inexpensive. And I wear these kind of loose, linen shirts, and that helps me. Of course, I always have a hat. I have again, the full coverage hat. If I'm out on a range or something like that, the sides come down, and I probably won't be wearing black. I'll probably be wearing a tan hat or, something like that. I can tell you, the top of my head, okay, the top of my head and my ears have a lot of sun damage on them from years, from years of working outside and being on ranges and things like that. And so for young people, wear a hat, okay? So when you're older, you don't have to worry about those types of things. So let's talk about, again, back to hydration, okay? Depending on what you're doing, you need, on a hot day, between 2 liters and 12 liters of water, believe it or not. If you're carrying a pack, like 40-pound pack, you're on the march, you're going over terrain, you're out in the sun, there's no shade, you have to consume a lot of water, okay? And for me, it's actually a pretty good thing, because I always have a water bottle in my hand. I love drinking water. Some people would rather, they kind of shy away from it, but you have to have about 2 liters per day on a good day. And because we're about 60% water, like all our organs function off of water, the way you process food, the way you digest food, it's dependent on water. So you have to be taking water in. Now, sports drinks. There is, we need salt as well. I have to be honest with you, the sports drinks for me, they're too salty. I know I'm getting electrolytes and all of those other good things out of it, but they're just too salty for me. Okay, I'll have one, but I'll go back to water, or I'll thin it with water, because for me it's just more palatable. It's easier for me to drink. Now, what you can do, if you're looking after a group of people, a team, it could be scouts, it could be your teammates, your squad, whatever the case is. If you're out for a long time in the hot weather, you can do it either with sports drinks, or you can use food coloring in your water bottles. Okay, so say you start out with a yellow bottle, like a sport drink, and they're supposed to consume this within this time. Based on a table, there's a table that you can download off of the internet on water intake. But we'll say 2 hours. If they should have gone through that yellow one within the first 2 hours. Okay, now you look at your team. Rest of the dudes, they're onto the green bottles now, and a couple other guys, they're still on the yellow bottle. That means they're not intaking enough fluid. Okay, so you have to give them a nudge and say you need to start drinking, whether you're thirsty or not. You got to get it down. Okay, and then you can go to another color after that. Could be orange, blue, whatever, but it's a way of quickly visualizing and seeing the rate that people are taking in their fluids, so they don't get sick. So let's talk about dehydration. Dehydration, you'll start to get a headache is usually the first sign, and it's like a pounding headache. You will start to become disoriented. Your coordination with your hands and things, it will be diminished. You may start vomiting. There will be no sweat. At that point, there's no sweat coming out of you. Your body, it's shut down. Okay, so again, if you're monitoring people, you have to keep an eye on these subtle indicators that they're becoming dehydrated. The simple thing is, like I said, I've lived with this fair skin my whole life. It's about seeking shade where you can find it. It's about sitting still for a little bit, moving effortlessly. Okay, you can still move at speed, but there's a way to do it effortlessly. Okay, so it's not sucking energy out of you. And again, we talked about the acronym COLD, layers, learn when to, strip things off to get some cooling into you. And really, sunscreen, things like that, make good use of that. I just want to mention the man here, Dexter, the boy, there he is. We got to look after these guys in the heat, okay? So I carry water for him. I know a lot of you won't agree with this, but he drinks out of the river and puddles and things like that. It hasn't affected him in any way. But he can at least get in and wade and cool himself off, especially if you got a guy like this that doesn't, he can actually get a sunburn. And of course, if you have a dog, we'll say like a shepherd or something like that with a long coat, those poor guys, they get so hot in the summer months that you gotta let them cool. I give them little treats like ice cubes and things like that. So again, when you're thinking about it, you want to travel. I have a canteen. This belongs to the boy. My wineskin is in my bag. And you've got to keep hydrated. If you had to purify this, a quart is almost a liter. It's close. For my American friends, it's very, very close. It takes about 2 drops of bleach to disinfect a quart or a liter of water if you're getting it out of a river or stream or something like that. Water tabs are bleach, more or less. Okay, so that's actually what is happening when you use a water tab. Of course, boiling is always the best thing for you to do. And so that's me and hydration. Make sure that you're looking after yourself and you're drinking water. Like I say, for me it's easy. I always have water with me, and probably a good thing to do. Now, that said, again, busy week. Tomorrow I'm up to Ottawa for something called OPEX. Of course, CANSEC is going on this week. Okay, so let me tell you the difference between CANSEC and OPEX. CANSEC, just to be straightforward, the audience there, the people that attend that, it's like high level. If you're buying an F-35 fighter or a Leopard 2 tank, that's the place to go. Okay, if you're an operator, you're a TAC guy, you're a cop, you're a security guy, a soldier, OPEX is actually a better outing for you. And the reason I say that is because it's all gear that you would use in your day-to-day operation. Okay, and OPEX is, again, it's not a bad, it's actually probably one of the better trade shows in Canada. But it gives you an opportunity to meet the vendors, meet the manufacturers, and again, it's not dependent. You don't have minimum order quantities at OPEX. Okay, so you can see all of that gear, and if you have a small team, you can outfit them through OPEX. So I'll be there, and on the way, I've got a quick stop at Prince Edward County, where Dexter is. He's going to stay a couple of days there, and I'll make my way up to Ottawa. So we're going to do an urban trail from Prince Edward County, and we'll do an urban trail on my way back without Dexter. I wish I could have him there, but without Dexter this time, at a place called the Ferguson Forest that is just south of Kemptville, I believe, is the small town that it's next to. And it's just a great spot. You can get lost in this place. And it has trails, and you can fish there. So I'll do a walk with it. I'll try and get the camera, on some way that I can walk and speak to you at the same time. And so that's what's happening in the next couple of days. So I'm looking forward to that. So with all of that said, be safe, look after yourself. It's Jimmy Bremner and Dexter coming to you, the boy, coming to you from the Urban Trail. I'm out.